Hello and welcome to the Trevor channel. I'm Jason, your host. We're going to talk about a difficult subject. I've got the ease at the moment. I'm just focusing my brain to be able to do it. I would be walking the dog today, but I'm not going to walk the dog today because it wears me out too much. There's a few things I need to do today, so I need a little tiny bit of energy to do it. But last night someone on my Discord messaged me and asked me a question, pretty fair question, why it is that when all this stuff went down with my house and everything and my mum and everything, why I didn't sue or go after the estate of the person that did it. So let's class this. I'm probably going to title this as the last video about Trevor and what happened. I don't hate Trevor. I can't hate Trevor. And people think that's weird. So let me preface this. Some of the stuff that I say in this video, I can be 100% certain because I was the one who witnessed it. Other stuff, the proof from the bank and everything else and all the stuff that came to her after his death proves it. And then there's other stuff that will be conjecture. This isn't about dragging Trevor's name through the mud or anything like that. So let me tell you one side of Trevor. One side of Trevor, and this is the said Trevor I knew, who I 100% trusted. He was a safe space in my life from an autistic point of view. So let's look at the first point. When my mum moved down to live here, to live in this house, Trevor was living next door. That was his house next door. And they sort of fell in love over the fence. They actually fell in love twice. The first time lasted for about 3 months and certain things didn't gel or anything, and they split up, and then a couple of months later they got back together. I've always said how my mum never went on holiday. She never went, apart from being with one person in her past called Vic. Apart from that time, she never left the country. She was always saving money to look after me. No matter how much me and Paula would tell her not to, she always saved money and put away ISAs and that. She wasn't rich. She just worked damn fucking hard and put the money away for me and for Paula to make sure we were safe when she was gone. When Trevor came into her life, she visited America. She visited France again. She travelled all over the UK. She went to Scotland. And I will always be grateful because this was just before her dementia was diagnosed. She got to go and do those things. And that was something she'd never done since my dad died. She'd never gone away or done anything except for one time when she was with Vic in the early days. So I am grateful to that side of him. There was never any signs that was anything wrong between the two of them. And me and my mum was really close. And I thought me and Trevor were really close. I mean, literally every week Mum and when before Trevor, Mum would come to where me and Paula were living in a little assisted bungalow on the other side of town and spend nights with us, just ordering takeout, watching films together, all the normal stuff you do. Everything was fine and normal. There was no... I was so happy when my mum found someone to be with. And as soon as Trevor came into the picture, he pretty much adopted Paula and me. There was never any standoffishness. And what do I mean by that? Every single appointment that Paula went to, he drove us to those appointments. And he would come back and pick us up after the appointments. These were thousands of appointments over the years that he got us there on time and got us back from there. He did that. I experienced that. He was the most reliable person I've ever met. I never ever, in the 12 years I think that I knew him, had to ever question that. It wasn't just that he came and helped out once in a blue moon. Every single appointment for Paula, and when Paula passed away for me, he would take me there to make sure that I had a safe space to go in. He knew about my issues, he knew about my problems, he knew about Paula's problems. That side of him was, as far as I can tell, 100% genuine. Everything was... There was no issues or anything. This is the side that I knew of him. And so, when it came to the other side, I didn't question anything that he said to me. When he told me that he had paid money to my mum's care home, even 2 days before he passed away, I did not question it. When he told me that it had just been a mistake, that the reason that social services were coming to audit the accounts because money hadn't been paid, I didn't question it. I had 100% belief in this person because he had shown over 10 years that I could trust him. When my wife died, or was dying at hospital, when the nurses contacted me and said, "You need to get here fast," Trevor was the one who ran red fucking lights in his car to get me to the hospital. The hospital was only 5 minutes away. He ran every fucking red light there was to get us to the hospital so I could get there before she passed away. That is the Trevor I knew before my mum's... before he died. Up to the very minute before then, that is who I knew. This is the same Trevor who... But then there were the lies that we know were lies now, but didn't back then. Like, for instance, when I was living next door, Paolo had died, and he was living in here, and my mum had gone into a home because the dementia had got too much for us both to look after. We came up with the idea that, why don't you keep this house, this one here, because that's got the memories of my mum in, for you, and I've got the house next door, your house, and that will have the memories of Paola, for me. And we just decided that when my mum did finally pass away, because we thought she'd pass away before Trevor did, that we would just swap the deeds, pay the basic solicitor fees and swap the deeds over. That was the plan, and I had no reason to doubt that. When he told me that he had told his children, I had no reason to doubt that at all, because everything he had done for me over the years, he had my debit card and my bank account. Why? Because I couldn't leave the house easily in those years. Of course, disabled. And I've gone back through my own bank account, and he never took anything from my bank account. He knew my PIN number. And he had my card. Granted, my bank account never really had much in it. But that was a level of trust, and he never broke that trust. Okay, we have to pause this for a second. Just a second. The doggies just woke up. You notice my bed's still here, so let me take this off. Before we carry on, we've got to have a dog break. Because he's just kicked the covers off himself. Because he was getting hot. So he's just kicked the covers off and sort of is just waking up now. So that's a little doggy break. And so, I had no reason not to trust. When he kept telling me that if I ever needed any money, that he would go up to his bank in Stafford and get the money out, and then when my mum passed away, I could pay him back. I never doubted him. Now I know from the logs at the bank and everything that every time he said he was going up to his own bank account in Stafford, he wasn't. He was going to my mum's bank account and taking money out of her account. That every time he did a shop, that every time he paid for something like new tyres for his car, he wasn't going to his own bank. We would talk often over the fences between the two houses. He was never going to his own bank. He was emptying my mum's bank account. But I had no reason to doubt this person. I had no reason, because he had showed for years and years and been such a positive, safe space for me and had helped me mum. And when my mum got dementia, he changed her fucking diapers. He looked after her. He didn't in any way abuse her. He didn't in any way not be there for her every single fucking day. I saw that. I helped him with that. And he felt so guilty when my mum finally had to go into her home and he wasn't enough. But I saw what he was facing, and even with my help, he did more than most ever did for my mum. So this is the problem. At the same time as all that was happening after that point, I never visited his house. I never came into this house because, as far as I was concerned, when my mum went into a home, this house pretty much became Trevor's. I did not want to disturb his privacy, and when he got a girlfriend, I didn't disturb that. Now, this is where we get to conjecture. I will never know how much of what happened, of the bad stuff that happened, was Trevor and how much was his girlfriend, Lisa. She was a drug addict. She was strange in many ways, but I will never know for certain what was her and what was him. But you've got to remember, the lies started far before she was on the scene. The lies about using my money, mum's money, go all the way back to 2017. The logs of my mum's bank account show that as soon as my mum, even when my mum was at home, when she got to the point where she couldn't spend money on herself, he was taking out more money than he needed to. So even with all the other stuff, so I can't say that it was all Lisa because things were happening before then. And the lies he told me about having all this money and investments and saying that I never had to worry about asking him for money if there was anything I needed, because he knew that my mum looked after me, that I never had to worry about that he had it covered, that he had the money. Now, gotta have another little dog break. Oh, you're so cute. You're just cooling yourself down because you've been too hot underneath the covers. That's what he does during the night. He'll just kick off the covers. Won't you, Zachy? You a good boy? He's still half asleep. But look at him with his stretching his legs out to cool them down and everything. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, we have to have the dog breaks. So, there was this complete dichotomy, and I didn't have any sense. He told me lies that, he told me that he was in touch with his children and he talked to them every single weekend and he looked after them and he spent money on them every week. From what I understand, that a lot of that was actually lies as well. I don't know for certain, but from what they told me, that he had never told his family about the fact of swapping houses over or anything like that. He told me that he had. He told me that he was spending time on holiday with them and all these things, but from what I understand, the little contact I had with his family, that he gave different people different stories, different sides of himself. As for reasons for why he was like that, conjecture, pure conjecture. The social services, when I talked to them about it, thought that there was a chance, because they had to look through all of and audit everything that was going on and that. They thought that there was a chance that he had a mental breakdown when his mum passed away, because that hit him hard, and when Paula died, and when my mum got dementia. Maybe it was all too much for him. We will never know. It's pure conjecture, and I won't think that I can state that, but I don't know. I will never know the truth of any of it. This is one of the hard things about it. One of the reasons it wrecked me. I only started to find out the truth of the situation when I walked into this house after his death and saw the damage to the house. When I saw all the ripped up statements and bank account stuff and savings books that had been hidden behind cupboards and underneath shelving and so on. When I saw the way he had destroyed all of the echo dots in the house that I had set up for him, and almost a form of paranoia. He thought that the echo dots were listening to him. So he disabled them and destroyed them over time. And then we found out all the rest of the stuff. He had basically used the house for spare parts, for working for other people, for doing stuff for other people's houses. The way he had sold all my mum's jewellery. But once again, certain things like, we don't know what happened to my mum's jewellery, I have to say that. We know it disappeared. We know it went away from the house. We believed that he pawned it or sold it. It could have been Lisa. We won't know. We won't know. The damage to the house was so long. The back bedroom upstairs was covered in years of statements and unopened letters and trash and destructive stuff that must have been happening started before Lisa came into the scene. The damage to the house and everything, the trashing of the cupboards, the coffee stains on the ceiling, the ash, the destroying the carpets and all that kind of stuff couldn't have just been one person. But I can't blame it all on him. I can't say it was all him because there was another person in the house. I know that there was a lot of drug stuff going on in the house. How did I know that? Because we found fucking the equivalent of Narcan. Injection things to be given to people who overdose on drugs in the house. And this was nothing that my mum ever did. So, why didn't I go after... When I figured out all that stuff that had been lost, that we've £150,000 worth of money, if you count up all the ISAs and that, and the jewellery and all of the antique Wedgwood and that disappeared, all my mum's good equipment and that, her oak chairs, her oak table, the oak antique furniture that she had, that was all gone. When I came back in here, why didn't I go after his estate for it? First of all, there was very practical concern. I was at a complete loss. When I moved into here, I felt so fucking guilty. Because Trevor was power of attorney, but I was also power of attorney. Yes, I was dealing with Paolo had died and with my autism and everything like that. It was easier to let Trevor look after everything and go out to the bank and everything and do all those things. I felt absolutely guilty because I hadn't seen any of it, because I hadn't seen the warning signs, because I hadn't fixed it, because I had once again failed my mum. Wasn't true, but that's how I felt when I found out about it all. On the other hand, I didn't feel worthy of my mum's money at the time. I know that. And I felt guilty in lots of screwed up situations. But also the simple fact was, I had no money, could not give it to solicitor. We didn't know whether we would get any of the money back from the bank. We didn't know anything. What we knew was that my mum's bank accounts had been completely emptied and there was bills to pay. I had to sell a lot of my computer stuff back then. I made a few of my friends quite mad and angry at that time because I didn't tell anybody that I was selling my coping strategies. I felt like a failure. I felt like I'd failed my mum. So I didn't want any help at the time. But the other thing is, I didn't want this to be dragged through court. I didn't want to hurt any more than it would be with other people his family, because I knew from what they had told me that he hadn't been completely honest with them either. And so, no. It bothers me more now about the money. I will say it bothers me more now about the money because my mum was looking forward to my future and wanted to actually look after it. And knowing all the crap that the government is doing now that may force me off disability and that stuff would have been really, really helpful. But I still don't hate Trevor. He stood in the room with me as my wife died. I don't believe that Trevor was malicious or evil in any way, shape or form. I like to believe that it was just a mental breakdown that caused him to start using my mum's money. And once he started, he couldn't stop because he was creating this persona where he was this amazing person who would help everybody out. He created this persona so well that my next door neighbour on this side found it extremely hard to believe what Trevor had done. He was the guy people went to. Granted, a lot of his help was with using my mum's money to help people, but yeah. So no. I'll never know how much was Lisa and how much was him. I'll never know whether she had a part of selling off my mum's jewellery. I will never know how much of it was. We know that she was into drugs. We know that the facts from the police when she did move next door and all the things that happened with next door mean that we absolutely do know that these things happened. But I still don't hate Trevor. He did too much good for my mum. My mum never knew that he used up her money. My mum never knew about that. Paola never knew he was doing anything bad. All Paola knew was this person in our life we could rely on, who would take us to every hospital appointment, who was there for us every time we needed him. And that's the dichotomy, isn't it? Things are never black and white. Hopefully this is the last video I ever have to do about this. It is still hard for me to align that amazing person who did so much for me, for Paola and for my mum in the early days with the person who emptied out his cigarette ash onto the carpet for months and months, and the tea stains and the stains all over the ceiling, and not looking after this house and letting it degrade and trashing this house. It's never going to, those two parts are never going to gel. Human beings are thinking, but I would never blame his family or anything. I would never do anything to do with that because he was a good man to so many people. including myself and Paola. And even now, it's hard for me to, even though I went through, even though I walked in here and saw all the stuff, even though I viewed the logs from the bank that showed how much money he was taking out every fucking week, and there were all the bank account that he was basically emptying every time money went into from her annuities. Even knowing all of the stuff that he did, all the betrayal, I don't hate him. Anyway, I'll take Zach downstairs, I'll put the bed away, and I'll talk to you all later. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. This is Jason for the Quever channel.